You're listening to the Fayetteville 411 podcast, produced by the City of Fayetteville, where you will get information about city government and the programs and services they provide. You'll get topics of interest and an inside look into the various departments that help keep our city moving. I'm John Salling.
And I'm Sherry Kropp. Thanks for listening to the Fayetteville 411 podcast. This podcast is just one way that the city shares information with our residents. And today, John and I have invited members of our grounds maintenance division to talk about what they do and how they maintain the city's natural areas. We've invited Robbie Goins and John Adams. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Well, this is going to be a fun podcast, I think, but also very informative. And I say fun because I know both of you guys, and you're just a fun team.
Appreciate that. We try to get the job done and stay safe and still have some fun while doing it when possible.
That makes the day go by quicker, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess we're going to start off by just explaining what you do in the grounds maintenance area.
Well, I work with Parks and Recreation, obviously. I am the Parks Supervisor over the Horticulture Division. And so we're responsible for natural areas, downtown park systems, parts of the linear trail system, recreation centers, right-of-way work, a little bit of everything, actually. It's a big task, but, we try to stay organized, try to keep things up the best we can, along with doing our, installations and other responsibilities throughout the city.
And that's just the areas that you guys cover, but how many parks and areas does the grounds maintenance division cover, actually?
So as far as my assigned areas that I'm responsible for is a little over 60. Now, when I say that, the smallest, I've done some research yesterday, and the smallest area is about 1,800 square feet. The largest area that I'm responsible for, along with other staff members and other parts of the department, obviously, with city staff, would probably be the Festival Park. You're looking at 6.5 acres there. Airborne Museum, we're looking at 5.5 acres there. Then, of course, like Veterans Park. And believe it or not, the new Senior East facility, which is very nice, is one of the larger areas as well.
And how many staff do you have to maintain all of these areas?
Myself plus 7 full-time staff members. And then during the summer months, we usually get a few employees from the staffing agencies, which is a really good opportunity. Essentially, they get to start an interview when they come on board to do that. So it's a good opportunity for us to eventually hire them on full time when there's, spots available. So that's a very unique, good opportunity there.
And I know you do everything from mowing, plantings. I think someone on the Parks and Rec team will do the landscape design, and then you are kind of responsible for putting in all the trees and shrubbery and things like that, right?
Yes, ma'am. We have a landscape architect that does a lot of the design and draws the plans up. Then there's a lot of situations where we actually work with the contractors as well. So a lot of moving parts when it comes to installation, because there's certain projects that will work in concert with the contractor and maybe a private sector, along with some stuff that we've either added or a part of the project that's just solely our responsibility.
And before Memorial Day here, you guys were in a particularly busy season here. What all were you guys working on? Yeah,
Memorial Day is obviously a very important holiday, and there's a lot of preparation for the areas downtown, all the historic district areas, and then, of course, there's a big event every year at Freedom Memorial Park that Don Talbot puts on. So gearing up for that event, I want to make sure the park is pristine, everything's pruned, any kind of herbicide treatments that need to be applied, and then, of course, mulching all the beds. Also with the Airborne Museum, because we're going to have visitors, checking out the whole footprint of that area down there. So we want to make sure North Carolina Veterans Park, Airborne Museum, Freedom Park, Freedom Trail, then along with everything else in the downtown footprint is as good as we can get it.
And I know you guys do a wonderful job, especially like before festivals, like Dogwood Festival and all these festivals and events that attract people, to the downtown area. You make it all pretty and get everything all ready before the events take place. But then afterwards, I mean, there's sometimes a lot of cleanup and things like that have to happen.
Yes, that's a good opportunity to showcase how beautiful downtown Fayetteville is, and how nice our facilities are. And then, of course, the cleanups afterwards isn't as bad as I think, as rough as I think some people think, because during the course of the events, there are staff members that are continuously doing a little housekeeping throughout the parks, wherever the event's at, as far as litter pickup, and all that good stuff. And the breakdown, it's been done so many times that everyone kind of knows what to do. And then, of course, the following week, there's usually about a half a day after a very big event, like the bigger events at Festival Park. It's about a half a day to kind of get everything back situated like it needs to be from all the foot traffic and litter and things like that.
And then does your workload change kind of season to season? Like, what do you do to get things ready for summer?
So during the preparation for going into summer, that is when we start pushing our fertilizer, getting our pre-emergent herbicide, which is like a barrier we put down to prevent weeds from actually germinating. It's easier to do that than try to deal with them after the fact. And then, of course, getting acclimated to the summer months as far as the heat, the humidity we deal with here. And then, of course, one of the main things is getting our equipment ready. Spring maintenance, as far as preventative maintenance on your equipment, your mowers, trailers, trucks, prior to when we start going into the big growing season, to make sure everything's prepared and ready to go, so you're not having to do it last minute. So it's all about communication and preparation. It goes a long ways.
So, John, now I know you're an arborist.
Yes.
With the ground maintenance team. And how long have you been with the city?
26 years.
26 years. That's quite some time.
Yeah, 26 years with the city, and been doing trees roughly 40 years. And then we maintain all the trees in the city as far as street clearance, all the parks, hazardous trees, looking out for hazardous trees. Street clearance is basically making visibility for corner visibility problems, people pulling out and stuff like that. Then you got limbs hanging down, hitting vehicles, always getting calls on that. But as far as keeping the trees shaped up downtown, like Hay Street area, which is a real difficult area, kind of iffy trees right there, iffy situation. But we keep them looking good, and we do a lot of planting. Like me and Robbie will team up together when it comes to planting trees.
Right.
And we got a good little system finally worked out over the years, so we get it knocked out pretty quick when we get down to doing that.
And so I guess you would have to know or decide what would be the best type of trees to put like in a downtown area, because you have to take all the elements into consideration and all of that, right?
That and overhead lines, because you don't want to plant something that's going to grow up into the lines, so we try to watch out for that.
Yeah.
And like you said, disease retolerant trees and stuff like that. Try to watch out for stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people don't think about whenever they plant trees, is they look really nice and pretty for the first 2 or 3 years, but in 15 years, when those trees get really big and they start to overtake and things like that, that's something that they need to consider before they plant.
Yes, most definitely. So want to know what you want to get, what you're looking for, shade tree or ornamental tree and stuff like that. But yeah, we do all the trees for the city all over, and then all the parks, and we got Spring Lake we go out to now too, so we got to go out there and do them trees. So
what might the public be surprised to learn your guys' jobs involve?
basically really how difficult it can be sometimes. A lot of them don't know we actually got to get up 60 feet in the air in the bucket and the stuff, get up in the bucket truck. They don't let us climb no more. So we don't do none of that. So if we get in a difficult situation like that, sometimes we contract stuff out. Although we are very capable of climbing, but we just don't do that no more.
So one thing I think that speaking of the bucket truck, we actually, a lot of people may not know this, but we have started working in concert with the downtown Cool Springs district folks, and we take care of putting all the Christmas decorations out for the most part.
Yes.
So we got the big Christmas tree on A Street, and
That's
then we've
right,
got some other things that have been purchased over the years. So that's a very, very unique experience, and we have got that hammered out to
Down to a science.
we've got it to a science, and that bucket truck is vital.
As far as at Arnett Park too.
Yeah,
Getting out there,
can't forget
setting up
Arnett
the
Park.
Christmas
Yes.
decorations out there.
Now, see, even me as a city employee, I didn't realize that you guys, helped assisted with that. But those are the kind of things that we don't think about
Arnett
that you all
Park
do.
is-
Yeah, we also got we got the claw truck, the limb truck, picks up the big logs and our stuff. We very rarely chip stuff anymore. We don't like keep the manual labor stuff down as much as we can.
Yeah.
But we also help set up a lot of artwork too, those downtown art.
Yeah.
My crew, one of my guys actually assists with that 99% of the time as far as setting up some of that artwork
Okay.
downtown.
Okay.
We use our truck to pick them up and move them around because that's a delicate situation right there. Don't want to be messing that up. So we do a little bit of everything. They tell us to do it, we do it. We make it happen. They look to us and we get it done.
And you do a good job at that too. Now, I know, John, during your 26 years with the city, you've probably run across some interesting things when you're out doing grounds maintenance. As a matter of fact, I've seen a few photos of some critters.
Yeah,
so talk about some of the fun things that you come across out there.
We've come across some possums in trees and stuff like that, or raccoons. I've brought in baby squirrels home and raised them and turned them back free. But yeah, we come across all kinds of critters. Come across a snake every now and then up in a tree. That's pretty fun, especially when you're climbing them. Back in the day, when I first started out, we'd be climbing up in the trees, and but yeah, climbing up in a tree, and all of a sudden you get face to face with a snake up in a tree. That's pretty interesting. Or raccoons, because they can get real aggressive.
I bet.
The bird, what kind of bird was that from a few years ago that we actually had to get in touch with the wildlife folks?
I forget what it was.
It was a fairly rare species.
Yeah.
I forget what it was too. It couldn't fly off the ground. It had to be in the water to take off. I forget what it was.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I actually just
But
found
it was
a
up
baby.
a tree.
Yeah,
But it was up a tree.
yeah.
Yeah, it had fallen out of a nest, out of the
I
nest or
believe.
something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I actually found a baby goose at my house the other day, so I brought him in and turned him free with some other geese.
And so what are some of the projects you guys have worked on around town?
So one thing that's that gained a lot of traction and is continuing to have some quite a bit of involvement, as John mentioned earlier, as far as working together, arborist horticulture, is the Murchison Road corridor, which is really starting to turn out good. If you would, it's just amazing to go on Google Maps and where you can use the feature and go back a few years, which is something we do quite a bit, to go back and look at projects, how they've matured over the years as far as the plant material, the grass and stuff like that, the turf, what works, what doesn't work, try to learn moving forward. But the Murchison Road corridor has turned out really good with the lights, all the trees, the plants. We're able to get it mulched last week. We've got some really beautiful Bermuda sod that we've put in there along with some artwork. The initial installation, it looked good, but now as we continue to go through the seasons, it's getting better and better. And then we're pretty much on a full maintenance schedule with that, because it is one of our gateways coming into the city, and it's really beautiful down there.
It's made a big difference
It
right
sure
there.
has, yeah. So from what it initially started as with, some old buildings, dilapidated buildings, and some concrete foundations, to now looking out there and seeing almost golf course-like turf, it's really something to be proud of.
Yeah, it looks real good. We had a big oak tree there, and we did our best to save it, and had a nice bed around it, but it dilapidated. It died, and we had to cut it down. I really hated to cut it down, but we did our best to try to save it. And so as people drive by and wonder where it went, it died. We had to cut it. But It happens sometimes. So a lot of people don't realize it. They wonder why their trees die. It's usually like maybe from the summer before, it just didn't get enough water. It didn't store enough energy for the spring growth for the following season, and then it just burns up its resources. And that's why a lot of trees die, because they just don't have enough resources to keep it going.
Are there any other projects that you can think of?
Senior East was a big deal. Had to bring a lot of material in and get the grade just right so that the water runoff would go towards the creek system. There was some add-ons that we did with some trees that we put on the corner of Washington Drive and Murchison Road. That turned out really, really good. That was work mostly that was done by the contractor as far as the big installation, but there was some stuff on our side of the house that we did. And I actually just left from there a while ago, and that place is really pretty. I mean, the folks are enjoying the facility. Parking lot was slam full, so we definitely that was a good move. There's it was definitely overdue from the old senior citizen building. So hopefully we can find some use for that area right there.
Yeah, we had to get in and pull a bunch of vines out of some trees and open it up a little bit, lift them big ones up on the corners, open up the view a little bit.
One thing I believe, if you'll notice around town, we have, I can't give you an exact number, but we have a lot of new play units that have been installed in the last few years with part of the bond package, along with some splash pads. So it's really cool to, we have an aquatics department, but when, we're going to service our areas and seeing the kids and everyone enjoying those new play units, the way they've evolved over the years from what we're used to. I don't even think we had any safety standards back in the 80s when we were,
No, just jump on a merry-go-round and go.
They were pretty sketchy compared to now, yeah. So that's really cool to see that and see the public enjoying them and, on the weekends and stuff like that. So that's special.
And when somebody sees like a limb that's kind of coming down on a tree, anything like that might need service, is there a place that they go or a number they call?
Tree falls in the road, usually in the evening times. Usually they call dispatch, call 911, but just call 910-433-1556 and talk to one of the ladies there, and they'll get a hold of me and they'll make a work order and we'll come out and take care of it. Give us a buzz right away, and we try to get out there as quick as we can. So corner visibilities, we get a lot of calls on them because that's the main concern right there, trying to pull out and can't see cars coming and stuff. So so we go all up in neighborhoods, not just the main roads. We're all up in neighborhoods and everything. So
You've still got the C-Click.
C-Click fix too.
Fix it. And that, I believe the way they've got that set up now, it actually transfers. They're able to transfer that to our platform, which is called CityWorks. That's how we operate. The staff members take out iPads, and it's very, very streamlined, excellent data. So when they do the C-Click fix and they call it in, it marries right up to the CityWorks work orders, which will come to us, and they're able to put lots of information, contact information, any other questions that we could, any information we may need it's already right there. So it's a streamlined deal to go take care of the issue. No matter, I've got one to go take care of here in a little bit. There's an insect issue over by Greg's Paint Your Own Pottery. So, it's from the smallest situations to a huge tree falling on the river trail. It's good. It's a good program.
It's a big help to us if they do see stuff to call it in, because we can't be everywhere. I have a 3-man crew, just me and 2 other guys for the whole city, and we can't be everywhere. So if they see stuff, just call it in, let us know. We try to get it as we see it, but we can't be everywhere
and what kind
all
of
the
stuff
time.
Do you all handle? So it was down trees and limbs, but also insects.
Yes, we do. We do fire ant treatments. If there's hornets nests and things like that, there's not a whole lot we don't do.
Sounds like it.
I mean, it's the truth. We're the 3rd largest department in the city. It's a wide variety. I mean, and we kind of careful about mentioning it, but of course hurricanes are that's a whole other story there. We've all had our experience with that, especially John. So we are right there with the first responders during storms and things like that. So if people wonder who does a lot of the hurricane cleanup through the neighborhoods, along with the solid waste and all that, it's Parks and Recreation.
Well, you guys do a lot. I mean, everything from the landscaping, putting up artwork and Christmas decorations to small insects, and you guys, you're just awesome. You make everything look so good with the city.
Keeps us busy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Makes the day go by quick.
Yeah, it does. Well, we want to thank you both for coming on today.
Well,
it's
y'all.
been interesting talking to you
Thank
and
you.
learning about the different types of things that you do. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Fayetteville 411. The Fayetteville 411 is one of several podcasts that the city produces for our podcast channel, Radio Fayetteville, as we provide timely and informative updates every week on a variety of topics related to the city of Fayetteville. Be sure to subscribe to Radio Fayetteville on Apple iTunes, the iTunes podcast app, as well as the Google Play Music podcast portal.
You can also listen to every podcast that Radio Fayetteville has to offer by downloading the FayTV streaming app, available now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV. You can view all of our video content by visiting faytv.net. To get more information about city services, go to our webpage at fayettevillenc.gov. Thanks for joining us.